Hello guys, this is Julie. Take a look at a couple of markets and also a great offer from EARN2TRADE today. So first we'll take a look at the VIX. The VIX went up to the daily 3 on the open. It was nice to see some volatility. This came in after some economic news came out on the ISM non-manufacturing index. So that came in hotter than expected. So when we get better economic news, that signals that, the Powell and the Fed might, continue raising rates. And sure enough, the rates are now even odds whether they're going to raise again in November. September looks pretty safe, so next week's meeting probably will be okay, but the traders are already starting to gamble that November could see another hike. So we'll have to be careful about that, and that's what causes the market to sell off. Um, the VIX daily went up right to the daily 3 and came pulled back, like as I showed you on that other one. I have other levels on this chart, including Globex and RTH levels. But this market, the VIX, loves these volatility levels that I'm using for the time periods, the RTH time period, the Globex time period. So definitely um, consider changing up your VIX calcs to with the JATS PT, not just the daily, but the overnight, 2:15 in the morning to 8:15 in the morning. That's your Globex. And then your RTH period is 8:15 in the morning to 3:15. Excuse me, 8:30 in the morning to 3:15 p.m. 15:15. Here is the 23-day in white, 30-day in red, and 37-day in yellow. These are all ones, all PT ones. 23-day, 30, and 37. Why do I use those specific calculations? Because that's how the VIX is calculated. No less than 23 days, no more than 37, and benchmarked around a 30. So I am not using the VIX calculations. I'm using the JATS PT calculations, and I'm just putting up a 23-day one, 30-day one, and 37-day one. And when I um, measure the mean, the 50% line between these levels, the 23-day and the 37, you can see that I captured the low and the high of this little move right here between 1514 and 1368. Of course, it gapped up over it, but it came down to test that lower end and then went all the way up to test the upper end. So you can, wrap your means around these volatility levels and see, especially around expiration next week, if the market stays inside these means. Now, these levels are dynamic. They will change every single day. So I will have to redraw these distributions every day as far as the means and see what these new updated levels are. But this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And it also worked for the crude that we'll look at. But just to look at the daily by itself so that you're not looking at all those other things, you can see how the daily open responded very well to both support and resistance in the volatility. So the volatility loves the JATS indicator. All right. So let's take a look at crude first. Pull this over just a little bit more. Open it up. So you can see here that the weekly ones, I put the 50% in, and the weekly ones here, I put the 50% in. So it's the difference between the weekly open. So the week opens, I get calculations, and the week close. So between the weekly open and the weekly close, I can run that Fibonacci 50% Actually, that's the weekly open, and the other was the weekly close. But here is the measurement between the two 50% lines, and I just put it on the underneath that weekly mean, and that's precisely where price traded to and then took off. So I think that must have been institutional buying that came in there because they know these measurements. And especially, going right to our daily threes. Today it went to the daily two, hit that double top and pulled back. Your daily threes on top has not been challenged, um, and it probably won't be. The crude's already closed for its settlement. But it did come in, the market came in underneath the daily one, and that weekly mean dipped it just a little bit, and that's where the buyers came in. So they're buying these dips. And rightly so, with Saudi Arabia promising to extend those production cuts through the end of the year. Many people are saying, $100 oil for Christmas, which absolutely sucks. I would rather they were trying to drive it down to $35 again. Remember when they did that? Trying to put our shale players out of business, our frackers out of business. Here is the NQ, and the market came down to the weekly ones here. So they bounced on the 7-day one at the open, just almost to the tick, 15,314, and got that bounce. So if this breaks, we have a long way to go to the quarterly expiration next week. So next week are the quarterly expiries, and even though these are 90-day and 3-month levels, how I find that the institutions and banks like to trade these levels is they'll use these levels around those quarterly expiries for the options. So just keep that in mind. If these weekly ones break, where do they move their risk? So they would move it to the twos, ones to twos to threes, or another higher time frame. So the higher time frame than the weekly would be a monthly or quarterly. The monthly does not come into play mid-September, but the quarterly does. So we have expiration. So I do almost expect this weekly level to break, and then we would see that challenged down here if they're trying to get some more marking out of the mark the market down. Mark the market down if that were to happen, and then I would be looking for support around 14,280, which is, drum roll please, the 90-day, the lower 90-day one, and that 100% will provide, especially with this level above it, which might be the monthly or quarterly, 12-week actually. We got the new quarter starting here. So we're going to, run into resistance, support rather, run into support. 14,690, 14,408, and 14,280. So I would say a high probability that that 14,280 is definitely going to provide some support, if not above it. So that's where I will have my eyes peeled uh, for the NQ. Going forward in the crude, well, let's just copy this chart in the NQ and move it forward for crude. Let's just change this real quick to crude and see what our higher time frame levels look like for that. Okay, so we can see 9130. So we're running into some resistance here at 88.36 and 88.71. Those, or 88.71, do you see how that just shifted? 88.71. Those are twos. And which ones are they? The 12-week two. But this 91.30 is the one that probably would hold the resistance, at least on the first touch. And that's a quarterly, the 3 month on the close. So that definitely is going to get some institutional um, resistance there at 91.30. I'd be watching that. And if it does break, we've got these threes right above it: 95, 99, 94.78. So before we get to 100, by September 15th next week, I think that we've got plenty of resistance to slow the market down, starting at 88.71 and then running right into some more quarterly resistance right above it. So it could get a little bit bumpy up here. That was a big move, relatively big move that we've had out of this, very long protracted range. So once that range broke, yes, they are taking off, but they're going to run into some problems. So, with all of that said, be sure to come over to EARN2TRADE website and get their offer for this September, and which is 70% off of all challenges, the trader's career path or the gauntlet, and also, as well as resets for $45. So that is a big, big savings, and definitely take advantage of it. Get your funding offer. I am in the 200,000 gauntlet, and working towards getting the algos, mini algos set up for the 200,000 gauntlet. Once you meet their profit goals and do not violate their end of day drawdown or their daily loss limit, follow the progression ladder, and maintain the consistency. So they do keep us to 30% of the overall profit target. So because I'm in a 200,000 gauntlet, I cannot exceed $3,300 a day. That's 30% of the 11,000. So even though I'm allowed now, because I have over my progression ladder, I have over $3,000 in profit, I'm allowed to trade 10 contracts, 16 contracts. That doesn't mean that I can trade them all at one time, because I would exceed that profit target in no time at all, right? Or the maintain consistency rule. I would exceed the daily profit target. So you have to trade within the guidelines, but definitely take advantage of this special offer and get start getting some algos funded with us. And definitely consider the PT price indicator and price oscillator to help you with the support resistance levels, because that would help you get a framework of where the market may be trying to trade to as a target and or bounce off of as support resistance. All right. Thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions. There is a lot of trading to do. We've just now started September. That's when the traders come back from all their vacations, and they're going to be wanting to, participate in the markets. And let's see if we can get a Santa rally going, this year for Christmas, or have this short drawdown in the market that seems to be uh, in the works. Keep an eye on where these daily highs are, or the market highs. And for this one, it is at 16,062.75. So if you took 16,062.75, multiply that by 20%, that would be 12,850.20. So know where your 20% lines are, just in case that these sell-off days, might continue moving should some bad news come out. Just have an idea in your mind for all the markets that you trade, what the 20% is from your high, and that way you can know your football field even more better. So right now, our 20% off the high is sitting on those quarterly threes. I mean, I hope we don't get that far. Maybe the ones would hold it. But in the event that, the market does, take off, you would know where those lines are. It goes down much faster than it goes up. I can tell you that. So, um, bad news will just take off very, very, very quickly. You can have these huge red bars every single day, and within 3 or 4 days, you can make a lot of room to the downside. But this is a huge amount of real estate. I highly doubt that that's going to happen. Highly, highly doubt that that would happen. So, all right, guys, I'm rambling now, so I will let you go. And thank you. And let me know if you have any questions or would like any other information. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great afternoon.